King Charles I of England dissolved the short Parliament, the first Parliament to be summoned in 11 years. At the beginning of the French Revolution, the Estates General met for the first time since 1614 at Versailles and debated the role of the Third Estate. For her technique of weaving straw with silk, Mary Crisp became the first woman to receive a U.S. patent. The process was largely used in the creation of hats and other headwear. One Danish religious philosopher, Søren Kierkegaard, regarded as the founder of Axolotl philosophy, was born in Copenhagen. Mexico repelled the French force of Napoleon III at the Battle of Puebla, a victory that became a symbol of the resistance to foreign domination and is now celebrated as a national holiday of Cinco de Mayo. When forces commanded by the generals Ulysses S. Grant of the Union and Robert E. Lee of the Confederacy engaged in the Battle of the Wilderness near Fredericksburg, Virginia during the American Civil War. American baseball pitcher Cy Young registered the first perfect game, with no player reaching first base, of the modern era for the Boston Americans, later became known as the Red Sox, against the Philadelphia, later known as Oakland, athletes. English author Virginia Woolf published To the Lighthouse, one of her most successful and accessible experiments in the stream of consciousness style. Premier Stanley expressed a desire to see a strong and independent Poland established after the war. U.S. soldiers and renegade German troops turned back at Warfen SS assault on a stronghold in Trelew, Australia, where French prisoners were being held by the Nazis, known as the Battle for Castle Intler. It was thought that the only time that the Americans and Germans fought as allies during World War II. While on a picnic in Gerhardt Mountain, Oregon, 6 people were killed after a Japanese balloon bomb exploded. They were the only deaths of the enemy action to occur on continental U.S. during World War II. Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev told the Supreme Soviet of the USSR that a U.S. spy plane piloted by Francis Gary Powers had been shot down on May 1st over the Soviet Union. Khrushchev referred to the flight as an aggressive act by the United States. Alan Shepard Jr. made a 15-minute suborbital flight in the Freedom 7 spacecraft, becoming the first U.S. astronaut to travel in space. American racehorse Psychonaut from 1970 to 1989 won the Kentucky Derby en route to capture the U.S. Triple Crown, which also includes the Preakness Stakes and the Belmont Stakes. Bobby Sands, an officer of the Irish Republic Army, or IRA, passed away during a hunger strike while in prison. English pop star and songwriter Adele, whose soulful, emotive voice and traditionally crafted songs made her one of the most broadly popular performers of her genre, was born. I thought she was born before this. Anyway, a military truck veered off the road in Himachal Pradesh, northern India, and plummeted into the river. 22 persons were killed. Kerry Webb wins LPGA Spirit Title Holders Golf Championship. American publisher Clifton Keith Hillgrass, the creator of the popular series of literary studies guides known as Cliff Notes, passed away in Nebraska. So that's where the Cliff Notes came from. The Washington Post company puts the weekly news magazine News Weekly, which it has owned since 1961 and which has been published since 1933 for sale.